Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the Avonlea Knits podcast. I am back with more knitting and projects to update you on. My name is Martha. This is a knitting podcast. And first up, you will notice that I have a book up here with the snowman on it. Oh, I put his hat brim down a little too low. It finally arrived, the book. So this is the original book by Raymond Briggs. It is all pictures. There are no words. This was the original. This is a board book. I'm so glad it finally came. I ordered this back in January and it just arrived on last Saturday, just as March break started. So, but the kids still have the snowman out. They are still doing snowman activities in their class. So I will put this out. I actually have the other copy in my bag ready to go for tomorrow. So I will put it out on the table with the snowman in the morning. And I'm sure the kids will come up to me at lunchtime and, you know, talk to me about it, thank me. But this was supposed to come with the snowman. It just took ages to arrive. So I am glad that it is finally here. I just brought my snowman out because I had the book now. And I will put these two things away now that the snow is starting to melt. I also got some yarn mail. And I put it in this little pail that I got at the dollar store, actually. I just really loved the print and thought it would be a good place to store some yarn. So this is called Very Colorful, Very Demure from Pine and Pearl. And I just fell in love with all of the colors that are in here. I chose it on a cashmere sock base. It is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10 nylon. These are 100 gram skeins. So I'm hoping to find, I think I could get, if it's a looser gauge, I can get a top knit with 2 skeins. So I am going to look for, a project to knit with this very colorful yarn, but I just could not resist when I saw it. So that was some yarn happy mail. And then I've just been working on projects. I will start, I guess, with what I finished, which was this. 2 weeks ago, I came on and said I was making a cowl with it. I'd made my little lip gloss holder, and then I was using the rest of it to make a cowl. So I was really inspired by all of the colors in here. Like, I wanted a rainbow-esque yarn choice for my lip gloss holder, and then I was really inspired by all the colors, and I found I wanted to do an eyelet rainbow lace pattern, and I just happened to, I was trying to figure out how was I gonna do that, and I ended up just like doing a Google search looking for a lace rainbow pattern, and I found one called Little Rainbows. And after knitting it, I think that is the only way to get the arc shape of a rainbow is you do like decreases up to the middle, so that creates the arc. Those lines down are the middle of the arc. So it turned out really great. This is on Richard DeVries DK called Come Dance With Me. That's what the colorway is called, and this knit up like super quick. So it's finished. I don't know when I'm going to release the pattern. I'm not quite set on a name yet either, so stay tuned for this pattern. I did release one pattern and I actually have to go grab it because I forgot. Okay, I released this lip gloss holder, and I have called it Lippy Buddy, Lippie Buddy, Buddy. It is free on Ravelry, Lovecrafts, and my website. This little pattern to knit this lip gloss holder, lip chap holder, is free for you to download. So you can find it on those three places: Ravelry, Lovecrafts, and avonleaknits.ca. Yeah, super cute. I just, because it took me no time to write up the pattern, just thought I would give it out as a freebie, free download. And I just sort of, the other day, I did a ton of work. I was like updating my sketchbook with my designs and all these bits of paper. Like sometimes I will print out like a stitch pattern or a formula for a specific shawl shape, and I will just start writing my pattern notes on there and start designing on the paper. Sometimes I start designing and I just type it up on my computer. Other times I will print out like a stitch pattern and just write my notes on there. And so I have all these notes. I one time drew sketches in church 2 summers ago, and there was an insert in our bulletins of a photocopied piece of music from a different hymn book. And so I just used the back of that piece of paper to design some, because I had these ideas come. So it's like, I want to keep those and like to just sort of have that of like, this was the origins of Avonlea Knits. Like I was designing on random scraps of paper, and like sometimes the ideas came through like fast and I just needed to get it done. So I was like writing on all these pieces of paper. So I like have all these pieces of paper saved, most of them probably recycling, but for the sake of having like something that's like, here are the origins of it and how it all started, and these were like how I designed things in the first few years, I have it all in a sketchbook. So I updated that this week, made sure I had patterns ready to go for some releases coming up. And yeah, I didn't get to figuring out any more like print on demand stuff, making more graphics for like shirts and tote bags and stuff, but had to do one thing at a time this week. Okay, next up is trying not to drop everything beside me. I'm knitting a bunny. Well, I'm actually knitting at the moment 2 bunnies. So I took the Drops bunny pattern and I'm using Bernat worsted. I originally started with the same, I didn't change anything. I had the same, I was using the same needle size but with worsted, and this is how big the ear came out. And if you see the picture with the baby, it's a pretty small bunny. And so this is going to be for like 7 and 8 year olds, and I want something more of snowman size. So I started, and this is with the 3 millimeters, and then I went up to 4 millimeters. And you can tell it is a little bit bigger. I'm thinking of going up to 5 millimeters, but I'm not quite there yet. This is the leg in 4 millimeter. And then I have still on the needles, because I have to bind it off, the arms on 4 millimeter. So this is 3 millimeter. The arms are on 4. And because they knit up actually super quick, I can knit, well, on the 3 millimeter, I'm using DPNs, so I can only knit them one at a time. But 4 millimeter, I have my 100 centimeter, 40-inch circulars, so I can do 2 at a time. So once I finish the arms in the 3 millimeter and the legs in the 4 millimeter, I just have to knit the head and the body and then put it all together. So I think I'm going to finish bunnies in 3 millimeter and a bunny in 4 millimeter and see what the size, or at least finish the bunny in 4 millimeter and see how big it is, and then if I feel that it's still too small, I can just really quickly whip one up in 5mm, because I think that will be better, because I don't want to go too loose of a gauge, because I have to stuff it. So that's what I've been working on. So I need to finish the bunny legs in 4mm and the arms, and then do the head and the body, put them together and see how big that bunny is. And if it's too small, I'll go up to 5mm. But I picked up this was the other thing. I did a modification. So you see there are bloomers on the bottom. You were to knit with the color for the bloomers, like you knit up a certain portion of the leg, and then you change to the like yellow, and you increased stitches, and then you kind of knit the bloomer with the leg, and then you crocheted the little ruffles afterward. But I didn't, and then when you do the body, you do like half of the body in the yellow to make like the top of the bloomers. I didn't want that. I'm just strictly going to put like a dress on the bunny. So I picked up this teal color, aqua teal, in a baby acrylic yarn from Walmart, to just knit the dress. It's striped. I'm not doing stripe. I'm just doing the one color. It's for the kids. They're not going to care. They're just going to be happy. So that is the plan, to finish the bunny and to knit the jumper once I have the bunny finished. So that's what I have been working on. I also was able to finish my shawl for my 4 Seasons collection. So this is it. I'm not going to share the name or anything else about it until closer to the summer. I'm releasing one pattern on the first day of each season this year. So this is the summer pattern. So it will come out on the first day of summer, and I'm not even sure when that is this year. But I do have the one for spring all ready to go, because it will be released on Thursday, March 20th. This is the Spring Buds shawl. I talked about it a week or two ago, or a podcast or two ago. This is in Estelle Color Flow, and it's a top-down triangle, and I just did, it's a basic garter stitch with a little kiss of texture, and I did that by doing one purl stitch every so often on the wrong side of a row. So it just gives this little, it's really hard to tell with this wool. Like what I found with Estelle Color Flow, it is wool that is blown into a nylon tube, and I wanted to see how well it would take with knitting texture and being like so colorful. And I know these are like muted tones, but there are other colors in their colorways that have, oh, I got fiber in my mouth, that have much brighter, more vibrant colors. And when I saw some pictures like with hats knit up with the texture, it kind of was overwhelming. Like you lost sort of all of the colorfulness of this with the texture of the stitch pattern. So I just wanted to see how well it would take a simple stitch pattern, and I think it took it well, but I also feel like you do lose it in all of the color, and the way this color went is it gradiated from one color to the next, but as the shawl got bigger, it went from being a chunk to a stripe, and then at the bottom it's like each way was a different color. So yeah, so this is the Spring Buds shawl. It is coming out on Thursday, March 20th. It's super light. Like, it is the same as my Gratitude shawl, same wool, same style. Honestly, like, it's a little bit chilly out today, so it's perfect because it's so light, and it keeps you so warm, but it's not overwhelming and it's not super bulky and it's really squishy. So I'm really excited for this pattern to come out. You can find it on Ravelry, Lovecrafts, and my website. The pattern will be available for you to purchase and download. And yeah, I think it would work with, like, if you adjusted your gauge, you could do it in a fingering weight DK. I love the Estelle color flow because it's super affordable. This also would look nice in like a solid, like chunky wool. So yeah, I'm excited for the pattern to be released. Now I can feel I can wear it. I wore my Gratitude 2 summers ago, like middle of August. I wore my Gratitude shawl on like a cold, cool, rainy day, and I was not too hot. It was like just right. So yeah, so look for this pattern on Thursday. And what else do I have? I cleaned out my backpack, so I found I had like too many knitting projects in there, so I pulled one out that had socks in it, and now I just have a shawl in there. And it's just my Gratitude shawl, but I'm knitting it with fingering weight, and it's not really for anything or anyone, like, so it's just kind of my burner project. If I need a knitting project, it's there. And oh, I had a sewing project I also need to go get. So I am starting to read a new book series at school. I have been reading on my Kobo, and I have a knit e-reader cover for that. But you know, little people are watching, and I had ordered some books that hadn't arrived, so I was still reading on my Kobo one day in a primary class. And it's easier for the older kids to understand that I'm reading a book on a piece of technology on my Kobo that only holds books. Not so easy for the little ones to understand. So I was reading. During their reading time, a little boy comes up to me and he goes, "You're reading on technology?" And I said, "Yes." And he's very bright, and I'm like, "But this is," I said, "this is an e-reader. The only thing that's on here are books." And I showed him, I'm like, "Look, there's 272 books on here." And then I like went into my books and I was just like, "Look, it's just all books." So he's like, "Oh, okay." But I had on order the Little House on the Prairie books in French, because I'm also like, the kids, most of the kids know that I'm learning French, and so it's a really good way for me to model, like, as an adult learning, that like, here's something that I am reading in French and challenging myself to read. But because it's going in my backpack, I want to protect this. I'm very like protective of my books. So I wanted to make a book cover, and I thought about knitting one, and then I was like, I don't really have any yarn that for me really fits like the Little House theme. Not that it has to be Little House specific. But then I was looking at sewing patterns, and I knew I had some extra Little House on the Prairie fabric. So I was like, why don't I sew one? So found a pattern and did not have enough fabric to do it. I have lots of scraps, but I did not have enough to do like a full one in like 2 different prints. So I had to get creative and go full like patchwork on this. I did have enough of this like music note fabric to do the lining. I had enough of this fabric to do the pocket. Has a little snap on it. Like, I had enough that I could You just like have one long piece folded over, top stitch the fold, and then you have a lined pocket, and then the front underneath the pocket is the same as the back. And this is my nod to Little House on the Prairie. I had found this fabric years ago, bought it, and then I sewed a backpack and some project bags with it that actually won first place in the fall fair. And this literally, these two pieces and these two pieces was all I had left. And so I actually had to cut them and sew them together to make a square because of the way they were, because of the orientation of the scraps that I had left. And then I have like a dress and an apron out of this. This fabric I just really liked. I don't remember what I made with it, but I have a scrunchie made with it. I made a skirt with this one time. This was just music note fabric that I had, and I got this for a project. It was just like a quilt. It was like a fat quarter that I got at the store. Same with this, was also a fat quarter that I just got at the store. So yeah, I sewed this up in one afternoon. I think the really brilliant thing was I wondered how the person had made this little elastic loop for the button. It's a hair tie. And I was like, that is brilliant. I had to go buy hair ties like this because I cannot use these kind of hair ties. If I did, I would be cutting them out of my hair every day. And then I went for real Little House on the Prairie, like authenticity, a wooden button. And the measurements are not quite exact just because I was working with what I had. So like this was not exactly as wide as it should have been. So it's like a little narrower than what the original pattern says, but my book fits in here perfectly. And then I just close it with the little button. And that is it. Oh, sorry, I got a notification on my phone and I had to stop it without it stopping the video. So I made that, and I'm excited to carry my books with me at school in this little case, just because I'm all over everywhere supply teaching. So just to have my books protected is important to me. And last but not least, I am on the home stretch of my cross stitch. Oh, it's coming along so nicely. I've really worked on this bottom section this week, and I started trying to finish like the top section. I'm kind of working bottom up and top down to try and meet in the middle. And I'm just doing like one color at a time because I'm finishing off using like a lot of colors. I think I only have 6 or 7, 8 colors left to use. So I'm getting there. It's just deciding whether I kind of split it down the middle and just work this whole section and get that done, and then work this whole section and finish. Or what I have been doing is like, when I'm reading the pattern, I kind of split it in half, and I'll do like this half in one color, and then I'll go and do this half. So that's how I get this whole section done, is I did this half and then I went and did this half to make it less overwhelming. But I'm almost there. I can't wait to like take it off the hoop and get it framed and see what it looks like. And I just have to remember, like, I'm so excited to give it, and I've already given it without it being completed, but I have to remember to like take all the pictures of it when it's finished and framed before I give it away, because then I won't see it anymore. But I'm very excited that it's almost done. So that is that, and that is all that I have been working on. I have my winter, I don't even know what this collection is called. I think I named it something and I wrote it on the pattern, and I cannot remember what it is right now. Something about the seasons in Muskoka. But when I post on Thursday and like actually launch and release the pattern, the collection will have a name. I have the winter one, and I don't have anything for fall yet, but I'm waiting to see what the universe brings to me for a fall themed pattern. So yeah, that is everything that I've been working on. And now I'm going to go and keep working on this cross stitch and working on the bunnies, because once these two things are finished, I then can get back to like my sweater and my winter pattern for this. And yeah, so that's it. I will see you again in 2 weeks, and we'll see what progress I've made on my patterns.